Los Angeles, California. Once a small Mexican town, the city has undoubtedly grown far beyond the grandest expectations of its founders. My family moved here from Texas and Mexico early in the century. Like many Mexican-American families, they were drawn to the city by the promise of work and political stability. Settling in the Mexican communities on the east side of town, they helped build Los Angeles into the metropolis it is today. Modern Los Angeles is deeply tied to the automobile. The Mexican-American community here seems to have a particular affinity for cars. It was my culture's love of the automobile that brought me back to Los Angeles. I was particularly interested in lowriders, or customized cars with lowered suspensions. I grew up with the media stereotype of Mexican gangsters driving lowriders, shooting each other and terrorizing their communities. Somehow this image didn't fit with what I already knew about lowriders. As a child, I heard stories about my father's car club, the Drifters. Influenced heavily by the 1950s hot rodding culture and his own Mexican roots, my father lowered his 1948 Ford and cruised the streets of LA with his friends in the car club. Far from being a gangster, my father left the Drifters to serve 4 years in the military and eventually get a master's degree at UCLA. In trying to understand the history of lowriders in Los Angeles, my father suggested I talk with his uncle, Pete Martinez. Uncle Pete came from an old California family who settled here back when this was still Mexico. At 86 years old, Pete still lives on a small ranch surrounded by the encroaching city. Pete is a caballero, or horseman, who remembers the days when the horse still dominated the dirt roads of East Los Angeles.
Well, I was born here in LA, 1910, and we had a lot of horses. Everybody had horses, buggies and wagons and everything, and naturally the guy's got money, he's got a nice horse, he can really put chrome on it and meet silver on him and good saddles and good equipment to polish their hoofs, with color that they want, either chrome or silver, whatever they want, or any color they want. Just when they pick up their feet, you can see the feet, you can see the color of their feet. And they're well groomed, And they even got ribbons on their mane and their tail. And then the fellas riding well, and actually the fellas riding the horse, he's well dressed too. If you ride a horse like mine, got a lot of life to him, He's not a deadhead. In parades, and she dances, and you can open her up and let her run and hold her back. And now the guys that got little old cars, they're dressing them up too, to make them hop and they make them this and that. When I was riding the parades, I had a pretty good horse, and the girls, they just went for me when I was riding. The guys didn't like it. I had some guys riding next to me. They didn't care for it very much, because they got a little jealous. Because I think I'm nice looking at that time, but now I'm a little old now, 86 years old, and well, I still can ride a horse if I had one.
Today, chrome, elaborate paint jobs, and custom upholstery have replaced the silver accessories, colorful blankets, and saddles of Pete's generation. Even the hopping cars are reminiscent of the lively, prancing horses. Understanding the roots of lowriding was only the beginning of my journey. My next stop was the office of Lowrider magazine. For 20 years, Lowrider magazine has been documenting the lowrider in both print and photography. I spoke to current magazine publisher Alberto Lopez.
And basically it was evolved in the late 40s. When Mexican Americans were first started coming out and finding industrial jobs, mainly here in Los Angeles, and gave the guys an opportunity to buy a car. And coming from a poor background myself, having a car was almost like having another family member. Polishing it up, going to church on Sundays, after church, going out for a cruise in the park. The cars were almost a status symbol in the barrio. If you had a car, it was like a big deal, and they were always polished up. The movement really spread through all the barrios from Texas up to California, and it evolved and transcended to what it is today, a sophisticated motorsport. Well, lowriding today has become another part of la cultura del Chicano. It represents another artistic element to our community, just like the mariachis or the folklóricos, the Aztec dancers. You also have the lowriders. Every vehicle's a canvas to the person that created it. His own soul and imagination is It's in the vehicle. Well, there's a lot of car clubs that influence the lowrider movement. Most of them are here in Los Angeles. And then you can go all the way back to the Dukes that started it all. I mean, they didn't really start it, but they're the oldest car club in existence that has been traced back to, I think, over 35 years, that continuously been in, let's say, business. They kept it going, and they're still going today.
As the oldest lowrider car club in existence, the Dukes have helped define contemporary lowriding. It happened that these godfathers of lowriding were celebrating Cinco de Mayo at a car show in the city of Downey. At the center of the Dukes were its founders, the Roullis brothers, Julio, Oscar, Ernesto, Fernando, and Rene. It was obvious that this group was much more than a club. It was a family tradition. The Lowrider Car Show has become a place for entire families to meet, socialize, and of course show off their cars. In the 1980s and 90s, the car show largely replaced the practice of cruising, or driving cars slowly up and down popular streets. In past decades, dozens of lowrider car clubs would crowd the boulevards of Los Angeles. Although lowriders still like to take their cars out on the road, traffic, carjackings, and police regulations have made the car show a preferred place to show off these amazing works of art. The Roullis brothers grew up in a violent south-central Los Angeles neighborhood, an area notorious in Chicano history. Julio is the oldest of the five brothers and the Duke's first president.
Earliest memories about lowriding that I remember, I was between 8-10 years, and to me lowriding was a culture of art about building up a car and fixing it up and enjoying it and going places with it and doing things. As our culture comes from way back from our ancestors, Aztecs, about building cars and on the colors. That's where we get them, from the Indians, from the feathers, from the Aztecs. The car club started in 1962. It started with a handful of guys. We used to go cruising down Whittier Boulevard on Sunday nights, come home, go to sleep, get ready to go to work Monday morning, back again.
Oscar, the second brother, told me how lowriding proved a positive influence in their neighborhood.
I always belonged to a 38th Street gang, and me and a group of guys decided to start a social club, get away from this type of environment as far as being a gang member. And it helped me a lot because it did take me away from the streets, from other gang activity. So that was really the main thing, starting the car club, doing different things, and show the people we just weren't gang members. We did have some kind of pride in us. We did know how to do something else besides just hanging in the streets, running around the neighborhoods, doing nothing. Of course, we worked selling newspapers, shining shoes, cutting lawns, so we could make all this possible. Put into the cars, fix them up. It takes a lot of money to fix these cars up, as you can see for yourself. So that was why it did change my whole life.
The Dukes specialize in working on bombs, or cars made before 1960. Aside from the charm of cars from the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, older cars had some financial advantages for the young mechanics. Ernesto, the middle Roullis brother, explained.
You would buy a car in the 50s for $15. It was easy to put dual pipes on it, lower it, and if you mess that one up, you go get another one, but you'll be doing the same thing again. But what it's done for us is to be able to get involved with that art and be good at it. We're pioneers at lowriding and stuff like that. It all means more now because the popularity of lowriding is so high. I just like to feel that I was a part of that.
Fernando is the fourth brother and current president of the Dukes.
My involvement in lowriding go as far as back when I was a young kid, and my uncle was a pretty good influence in that. Being he bought us a go-kart, he'll also take us to a scrapyard where they had tons of bicycles, and he'll go out there and he'll buy them for us, and we'll put them together, and we'll do all these different type of modifications on them. We've actually even built scooters that were low riders. My mother played a pretty good role into this because she preferred us out there with the go-karts and with the bicycles and the skateboards and the scooters than being on the street hanging out there with our peers out there. She didn't want us to do that. So.
Rene is the youngest of the brothers. The baby in the family, he literally grew up in lowriders. As a teenager in the 1970s and 80s, his influences were different than his brothers.
Well, it all came behind my brothers. It was brought upon me through them. Sundays, go cruising, Whittier Boulevard. I was 6 years old. I used to sit on the armrest to be able to look outside through the window. Living with the club, my family was part of my childhood. I grew up in a different era versus my brothers growing up. They grew up in the 60s, 70s, low riding, low and slow. I took it to a different extent in the 80s, low and fast. I like fast cars. Everything I owned was fast. When I was 18, I got my first vehicle. It was a 1964 Volkswagen. It had a beefed up motor, beefed up tranny. It was real low. Started messing with it. I'd race it every now and then, Friday, Saturdays, take it down to Stadium Way, Riverside Drive. And my brothers always wondered, hey, how come you don't low ride a Chevy? Why a Volkswagen? You're only supposed to low ride Chevys. I said, hey, that's my style. I'm different. If I want a low rider, I can always go borrow one of yours. Julio was really the curious one. He was curious what I wind up being. A racer or a low rider. I wound up being a little of both.
One of the unique features of lowriders is the unusual hydraulics used for lifting and lowering the cars. I found out these modifications have some very practical applications.
When you approach railroad tracks here in this area, if you didn't have hydraulics, you will angle your car and drive it across the tracks a little bit on an angle so you wouldn't scrape anything underneath. If you had hydraulics, you would just race the car a little bit and, gently go across the tracks and be done with it.
The hydraulic merchandise were supplied by surplus back from World War II. The main thing was to install a cylinder, hook it up to your coil, and make your suspension go up and down. So when you're riding real slow and you had a police officer ready to give you a ticket, you can pick it up and be legal, so nothing can be below the rim height, which that was illegal. That was the whole purpose of hydraulics there. Nowadays, hydraulics has advanced to the hopping. They got contests, they got whatever. If you abuse your hydraulics and you're on the street and you get a police officer got a bad day, he's gonna give you a ticket. And that's just the way it is.
Throughout the history of lowriding, there have been conflicts with the police. Lowered suspensions have been outlawed in many cities. In addition, the spectacle of custom cars slowly cruising the streets is seen as a hindrance to traffic.
The police back then in the early 60s and even the late 50s, they were a little tough on lowriders. The first chance they got, they saw a lowrider, they would write them up for a ticket right away. The police now can distinguish the difference on a true lowrider and a lowrider that's wannabe. And if a guy's out doing wrong and hopping and what he's not supposed to do, well, he's gonna get a ticket. But there's not as nearly as bad as how they were when I grew up in lowriding, because it was tough then, real tough.
In spite of past problems, the Dukes hold no grudges against the Los Angeles Police Department. In an era when the LAPD is suffering from bad publicity, the Roullis brothers never speak disrespectfully of them. It seems that respect is a main element of lowriding, to have pride and respect in yourself, to respect others, and to earn the respect of your friends, as well as those who may be perceived as an enemy or rival.
Lowriding is just not buying a car. You really have to take pride, and not only that, it comes from the heart. You really want to do this. You just don't want to buy a car and just lower it and you consider yourself a lowrider. No, it doesn't work that way. You got to take pride in doing it, and you got to spend a lot of time. Lowrider is very special to me.
The importance of lowriding comes from within yourself. You lowride from the heart, because the way your car is fixed up or it looks, it reflects upon yourself.
One of the most gratifying things that is done is going to car shows and having the crowd admire your automobile and admire you for putting out so many great products out in the show industry over the years. It has provided respect, and it has put us in the map. But lowriding has been something that's very, very special to us in a sense of the respect.
The Duke's spirit caught on. Others joined the club. Soon it was necessary to organize club chapters all around the country. As the brothers married and had children, they sought to share their passion for lowriding with their families.
Jay was about 2 years old. I used to take him to the old shop where I lived in the front, and he used to come and help me sand. Back then I got the idea, well, why don't we do a little bike chapter and get these kids into the bikes? Eventually they're going to graduate from these bikes and they're going to get into cars. They learn from the bikes. They got a lot of experience in painting, in body work and in striping, and it was very helpful for them for right now what they're doing.
Fernando's oldest son, Jay, and Ernesto's oldest son, Ernie Jr., grew up together more like brothers than cousins. Although both are now adults in low-ride cars, they remember the days when they learned how to customize bicycles and work with their fathers and uncles.
What got me into the bikes was before we used to go to the car swap meets with my dad and my uncles, and I used to see the Schwinns out there, and we'll save up our money, and we started buying those type at first. And then we'll see other ones in the street that other guys had. They were all ragged and stuff, so we'll just take those in and just strip them down, repaint them. That's how we got into painting and stuff. And, you know, take all the chrome out, send it to be chrome, then start putting some custom features into it. And then we'll make it into a lowrider bike.
Car club kept me busy at a young early age, kept me out of trouble. Not that I wanted trouble, but in case, opportunity ever occurred, I was always into something as far as cars, bikes, in the garage, tinkering with things.
Yeah, it feels pretty good to work with my dad and my family, because I'd rather work with them than work with anybody else. And also, a lot of people think that lowriding is a negative image, like in gang members and stuff. It's not necessarily like that. It's a lot of family-oriented people that are involved in it. They may look a little strange sometimes to other people, but basically they're hard-working family people that are earning an honest living and just want to have fun and build their cars and take them out to shows and have a good time.
Since the time of the Horsemen, cruising the streets of Los Angeles has been an important way for young men and women to meet each other. This courtship ritual is not lost on the younger Roullis men.
Lowriding for me is, driving slow, not too slow to obstruct traffic or anything like that, though, but driving slow, driving low, having your sounds blowing, having the tunes flowing, pick a good spot, have my car looking as clean as possible, smelling good inside and everything, in case, the girls are out there, in case you pick up girls or anything like that. This is part of it. This is all part of the scene.
In today's car show circuit, the Dukes are legendary. The younger Roullis men enjoy a near celebrity status. Fernando's younger sons, Alex and Matthew, are not old enough to drive, yet they still play an important role in the club. They belong to one of the many Dukes bike chapters throughout the United States. Lowrider bicycles are growing in popularity and now have their own bike shows and magazines.
Me and my brother enjoy working at our dad because he will ask for a certain tool and we wouldn't know about it, so he'll go in the garage, get the tool, teach us how to use it. My dad and all his brothers would get together and they would show us like how to work hydraulics, the cylinders, and it's good because we like doing that. It's the way our family is into old cars. And I'm proud of my dad for doing all that and helping us get into it. We enjoy having the Dukes bike club and car club in our lives because it keeps us out of the streets, and instead of going out causing trouble, we would be busy either waxing our bikes or helping our dad or uncles wax their cars and keep the chrome up to participate in the car shows.
We're the Dukes. We're the Dukes Bike Club.
The youth are highly valued by the Dukes. The Roullis family organizes benefit car shows annually to help raise money for local schools and toy drives. The Roullis children learn the value of work at a young age. The youngest children and grandchildren work hard to buy and maintain their bicycles.
I bought it for my uncle, and I worked and I get an allowance. I saved my cans so I could do money. I bought a part for my bike, and it's almost finished. I really like working with my dad because my dad's nice, and I really enjoy working with him with my car. I work with my dad a lot on the cars and with the insides, and I help him with everything, and I have a bunch of fun with the cars. It looks fun, and because my brother's in it, I like being in it. So, that's what I want to say.
Renee's little girl, Danae, is the Duke's youngest member. Although small in stature, she makes the female presence known. The wives and mothers also occupy a significant, though less visible, position in the club. Oscar's wife Sylvia and daughter Tiffany are restoring their own 1939 Chevy, and Fernando's wife Gloria is the secretary and coordinator for all the Duke's chapters throughout the United States.
When the club first started, we had no idea it was going to be so large, grow to so many people and so many chapters. I think it's great that the boys are all involved in the old cars and the old bikes. It keeps their mind off of drugs, being in the street, drinking. They have to work to get their cars done. And the bikes, it's a very expensive hobby. I want them to know that they want something, they have to work for it. No one's going to give it to them.
The most respected position in the club goes to Josefina Roullis, the mother of the 5 brothers. Raising 5 boys on her own in South Central Los Angeles, one can only imagine the struggles she faced keeping her boys out of trouble. The respect and love the brothers have for her is inspirational.
To me, everything they have done has been good. I am always with them. At car shows, at the exhibitions they do. I'm always with them, all the time. In spite of my age and all, I love to go with them.
We've been very close with the family for many years, and reason being because we love the low riding thing, and that played a good role in keeping our family together. Anywhere where one brother goes, all the brothers go, all the nephews go, and all the grandkids go. Besides my family, low riding to me is one of the best things I love in the world. It's to get a vehicle and from the ground up and restore it and paint and make it look nice. It's an art that God only gives some people as a craftsman to do that type of work, and it's a God's gift. It's when you get a plant and you grow it from the seed and you nourish it and you see how it blooms, and that's a rewarding, very rewarding thing, you know, and it's part of our life. It's our way of life up today. I'll say in 20 years I'll still be doing the same thing, it will be no different.
The Dukes are but one group in this cultural phenomena that is currently spreading across racial, social, and political boundaries. Alberto Lopez told me that as long as there are Mexicans, gasoline, and cars, there will be lowriders, and I believe that's true. Before we left Los Angeles, the Roullis family invited the film crew to a barbecue in our honor at their South Central car shop. As I looked around, I realized that I was surrounded by 4 generations of one family. In a neighborhood known worldwide for its violence and despair, I found an oasis of peace and hope. I realized then that although I came here looking to learn about cars, I was leaving with many important lessons about love, respect, and family. If lowriding can bring a family together in such a positive way, then it is something of which we can all be proud.